What's good, Chaotic Nation? It's your boy, Chaos here, and today I'm continuing to rank my favorite Pokemon of each type. This list comes by my past experiences playing Pokemon over the past several years. The order of this series is based on my least favorite type to my most favorite type, and I will be covering all of the 18 types. A dual-type Pokemon has the possibility to be considered for both types it has because if a Pokemon is one of my favorites, it should be included in both places on both lists. With all that being said, sit back and relax as we dive into the Psychic type. Number 10, Unknown. I know Unknown is probably one of the last mons anyone would ever expect to be on a favorites of each type list, but I really just enjoy the lore behind this Pokemon, and if you know me, I'm a big person into lore and theories about every game franchise I enjoy, so Unknown is bound to be one of my favorites because of that. Unknown is said to have crazy abilities that can forge different realities, which can be seen in the movie Pokemon Spell of the Unknown. I think Unknown is really interesting as a Pokemon since it really can only learn Hidden Power, which makes it a great candidate for Choice Specs or Choice Scarf. It does really depend on what type of Hidden Power you get to for how useful Unknown is. I've always heard that a Psychic one with a Choice Specs is probably the best way to go. So, that would be my recommendation to you, but it's still a really interesting Pokemon with that. I've never used one of these Pokemon before, but I have really enjoyed collecting them, playing through post-games of several different Pokemon games in the past, and I've always really just liked to try to collect every single letter out there, so it's always a fun challenge when you're playing through Pokemon. Number 9, Slowbro. You know by now that I like derpy looking Pokemon, and Slowbro isn't an exception to that. I generally prefer Slowbro over Slowking because I think it has more competitive use. I think Slowbro is just a better Pokemon overall. Slowbro has also become one of my favorites since it is a emote on my Twitch channel, so if you haven't gone over and checked that out, go down in the description down below and go over to twitch.tv/chaos6 and check us out. I also really have enjoyed the defensive capability of Regenerator on this Pokemon, allowing for passive recovery when switching out. Number 8, Jinx. Look, I get it, this list is very controversial just within the first 3 picks, but I know that Jinx is a little bit weird looking, and a lot of people hate this Pokemon based solely on its design. And I honestly thought it was creepy, and I never really envisioned using one until I started doing Draft League. I was looking for a final spot on my PDL Season 2 roster, and I wanted something that was kind of fast and offensive, and Jinx fit that role really well. It gave me the Ice and Psychic types that I needed, and it really became one of the best mons in the season as it rocked several different items, allowing it to be useful depending on the situation that I needed it for. Jinx is a very versatile Pokemon in my opinion. It has a good move pool, and can be very useful in a lot of different situations, and can be set up in many different ways. It has got me out of several difficult situations during the last season, and really ultimately ended up being a real MVP to help secure the championship for Season 2. I haven't used Jinx much since then. I really don't think I've ever touched it since that season, but I really cherish the effort that it displayed for my team, and I would like to try using one in an actual playthrough at some point in time. Number 7, Glade. Glade was one of my favorite changes to Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire from the original Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald. It just felt like Wally would have a Glade on his team. I really like this Pokemon as well, but its evolution by Dawnstone kind of bugs me a little bit since you usually find Dawnstones late into the game, meaning I never really have gotten the chance to play through an entire game with a Glade on my team. It also reminds me of the Dual Disc from Yu-Gi-Oh! With its arm blades, which I was really attached to as a kid and was one of my favorite add-ons to the Yu-Gi-Oh! Franchise. Glade also has a lot of coverage, which really makes me like it more and allows it to be useful in many situations. Number 6, Bronzong. Bronzong wasn't something I was overly impressed with when it came out in Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum, but eventually I decided to draft it into my team for a season of Draft League, and I found great success with it. I really like the abilities of this Pokemon being useful for different kinds of situations. You have ground immunity with Levitate, you have fire resistance and heat proof, and you can boost the power of Heavy Slam with increased heavy metal. It's just really cool and can be used in different kinds of situations based on what you need. Bronzong also gets access to Stealth Rocks, which plays into my utility of entry hazards and is one of my favorite things to run on a team because the residual chip, or causing someone to be toxic, or causing Pokemon to slow down, really can help out your team to secure a victory. So I've always really enjoyed entry hazards. Overall, I've enjoyed every time I've picked up Bronzong and added it to my team, and I would really be interested in trying to use it throughout a playthrough. I know it might be a little bit weird with that because a defensive Pokemon is not really the best thing to run through a game with, but it still could be interesting and fun to use anyway. Number 5, Metachain. Another Pokemon I wasn't impressed with was Metachain until it got Pure Power. Metachain featured on my Season 3 PDL team alongside Lucario and Hitmonchan. And yes, there was a week where I brought all 3 of the fighting type Pokemon to a match. It was a fun time. I really like Metachain a lot because there was one week where I ran Icy Wind as a tech to slow my opponent down, which did win me that match. I've really enjoyed using Metachain ever since, and I think it's a really valuable lower tier Pokemon for Draft League, with Pure Power allowing it to be a menace for your opponent to deal with. Also, Psychic and Fighting is such a really cool typing, and both Glade and Metachain love those two's typing. Number 4, Jirachi. Jirachi has always become one of my favorite Pokemon since I originally found out about it. It's a really cool looking mythical Pokemon and has always been one of my favorites. Mostly because I found it to be difficult to take down when I was a kid. Jirachi was another member of my past Draft League teams, and Jirachi was one of those Pokemon that I enjoyed using because it had great abilities to be run in a variety of ways due to 100 base stats in every stat because of a mythical Pokemon. So you can run Jirachi defensively with hazards or toxic, or as an all-out attacker on the physical or special side depending on which kind of build you use Jirachi for. Jirachi also has a really good shiny despite it being a simple change to the Pokemon. Sometimes they work. Jirachi is an example of that. Number 3, Espeon. It's no surprise that an evolution would make a list like this. Espeon always was a great Pokemon for me since it is incredibly powerful with a great special attack stat. I really found a love for Espeon in Pokemon Colosseum since it is one of your 2 starter Pokemon in the game. I've always had a great time playing through that game, and using Espeon on many adventures was always a blast. I've also used it to great success in Generation 2 on some of my best team playthroughs, although I wouldn't say it is the best Psychic type in those games. I just have tried to use it a few times to see how it would work. I also really like Espeon having the ability Magic Bounce, since it prevents hazards, and as I've already talked about, I think about hazards a lot when it comes to battling, so I was originally going to actually draft Espeon in Season 4 of the PDL if I didn't get Mega Sableye, as a way to prevent Stealth Rocks for my Sun team, so Espeon would have been a really crucial role for that team. Overall, each evolution is an adorable creature, and I always enjoy using them, so Espeon was guaranteed on this list. Number 2, Gardevoir. You probably saw this coming if you spent any time around the channel at all. Gardevoir is one of my first Pokemon that comes to my mind when I think about my favorites. Gardevoir is just a powerhouse of a Pokemon, and it's my favorite Pokemon from Hoenn. Gardevoir has great utility in its coverage and also has some really good abilities. One of my favorite moments using Gardevoir was in a match of Season 4 of the PDL where I used Trace to get multi-scale from Dragonite to defeat my opponent. Gardevoir has always been a staple on my team anytime I can use it, and I very much prefer it to Glade because I think the Fairy type actually works well on it despite my disdain for the Fairy type. And number 1, Mewtwo. Yeah, Mewtwo definitely takes the cake when it comes to Psychic types. Mewtwo was my first major challenge when it came to catching legendary Pokemon in the Pokemon franchise, and it was really just such a problem to deal with. It's a very powerful Pokemon, very strong, and has a really low catch rate, so good luck catching it. But once I had one, I ran around Kanto, obliterating my opponents with Mewtwo's immense power. Mewtwo is also one of the unique Pokemon that has made its way into some non-Pokemon games like Smash, and I've always really enjoyed Mewtwo wherever I could. I did main Mewtwo for a while in Melee, so that was fun. But one of my favorite moments of Mewtwo is in the movie, the first movie, where Mewtwo offers the line, "The circumstances of one's birth are irrelevant. It is what you do with the gift of life that determines who you are." I really like that quote, and it was very inspirational to me as a kid, and something I really have had an impression with since I watched the first movie. Well, that's all I have for this video. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe for more content. Let me know some of your favorite Psychic-type Pokemon in the comment section down below, and make sure you check out the description for more ways to stay connected to the channel. That's all I have for you today, so thank you for watching, and until next time, I'm Chaos, signing off. Stay safe, and as always, burn it up.